I'm Julianne Puente, head of school at Albuquerque Academy in New Mexico. The Academy is a leader in the world of independent schools. We honor our past while embracing the future of education. Even though I've been going to school in one shape or form for almost my entire life, I still learn something new every day. And I use that knowledge to tackle the challenges that should interest anyone who has a stake in the future we can't fully imagine. Thanks for joining me to hear about what I learned in school. Welcome to What I Learned in School, the podcast where we sit down with members of the Albuquerque Academy community to explore the lessons in and beyond the classroom that shape who we become. Today's guest is someone whose influence can be heard across decades of Academy history. John Truitt is an Albuquerque-based composer, flamenco guitarist, woodwind specialist, and career music educator with more than 50 years in the field. He began the nationally prominent guitar program here at Albuquerque Academy in the 1970s and directed it for 22 years. He's also a longtime Academy faculty member, and today his legacy continues in a new way, as he is the grandfather of current Academy student Grant, class of 2029. He has taught at every level, from pre-K to graduate school. He has served in leadership roles nationally in music education. He helped make New Mexico the first state in the country to include guitar ensemble in the All-State Music Festival. But beyond titles and accolades, John is a builder of programs, a mentor to teachers, and someone who helped redefine what music education could look like. He's also one of the greatest practical jokers of all time. John, welcome to the show.
Well, it's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
I have to say I'm not supposed to say these things, but you are definitely one of the favorite people I've met at the Academy, and I have just cherished our relationship and friendship since I arrived, and your love of music, your love of the Academy, and just a great cheerleader. So it's been great.
Well, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
So what drew you to music? Woodwinds, guitar. Do you play other instruments that we don't even know about? Like, what was it?
Well, I was, I think, as a little bitty guy, as a baby, my mother used to sing and dance with me. She would, dance around singing, and I just loved that. I would sing with her. And so I always got this feeling that was the way you interacted with people. And so, it was just what happened when I was little. But the very first thing that ever happened to me that I can remember that, just really kind of had a very strong imprint was we got a TV from some relatives back east. They were always thinking that, people out here in New Mexico, this was in the early 50s, people in New Mexico didn't have anything. We were, just living out here in the desert. And so, they would do things like send us chewing gum and, things like that. So my aunt and uncle sent us a TV, which we hadn't had until then. And so it showed up on the train, and we picked it up and we took it home in the back of this station wagon. And when we set it up and got the antenna on it and everything, we turned it on, and the old TVs would come on with just this little light in the middle of the thing. And it gradually got bigger and turned into the picture. And it was Benny Goodman. And he was playing the song Lady Be Good. And I was just transfixed by that. And I never forgot that.
Isn't there something about the big band sound? Is that what was that what you were listening to?
Well, actually he was in I think a quartet format at that point in time. But it was him and the clarinet, and I looked at him and I thought, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do that. And every time in school, they would say, what are you going to be when you grow up? And everybody's a fireman, a policeman, I'm going to be in the army. I always said, I'm going to play clarinet.
Well, not everybody says that.
No, true.
Most people are like, I'm going to be a rocker, I'm going to be a jazz guy. I find it so endearing that you were going to play clarinet.
Yeah, and my mom, big influence on me. My mom saved green stamps until she had enough to get me a clarinet.
I don't even know what a green stamp is.
Well, it was you'd go to the grocery store or wherever you buy stuff, and if you bought a certain number of things, they'd give you a certain number of these green stamps,
Got it.
which you pasted in a book,
Uh-huh.
and it was a big stack of books of green stamps that got my
love it.
clarinet.
So it seems like you were drawn to music from when you were younger. You play lots of music that doesn't really, a clarinet isn't even used.
No.
So then how did it, did it expand?
Well, I played clarinet through high school, but, pretty quickly in high school, my band director, came over to me and said, "John, we need an oboe player." And so, I started playing oboe. And then, I had been playing saxophone and clarinet since I was little because I thought saxophones are a pretty cool thing as well. So,
but the embouchure needed for oboe is so different.
Oh, yeah.
It's not, many saxophone players play, will play clarinet. You can move back, but this is a whole other thing. I mean, so how did you do that?
The oboe was a big challenge, but I really loved it. I loved the sound. I loved the ability to play some of the orchestral music. I always thought it was really cool when you heard the oboe in an orchestra. And so
Me too.
I studied with an oboist who was in the symphony, and I got good enough to actually, when I was still in high school, I was playing, when they needed another oboe player, when they needed a bigger section, I would play in the symphony here.
And so when did you pick up guitar?
I was 18 years old, and I had...
which is older.
Yeah.
Guitar is often something you pick up. It's different than other instruments in that you can figure things out and play in your room and do that. It's like you generally study oboe, you generally study clarinet, you study piano.
Right.
But at 18, that's just later.
Yeah. What happened was I had this girl that I was dating, and she was taking guitar lessons. And I mean, I always loved guitar. I loved guitar music. I had a lot of guitar recordings that I used to love to listen to. And I was always drawn to Latin music and flamenco music, and I just loved that. Anyway, I would go to pick her up to go out, and she would not be ready. And so I would take her guitar out and just fool with it. And that was really my first exposure to actually picking up a guitar and playing it. And so she said, "Well, why don't you go meet my teacher? And you need to meet him. Maybe he'll show you a few things." Well, I went and I actually took a lesson or two with him, and he said to me after the second lesson, he says, "Well, listen, you can read music, you can do a lot of stuff. So why don't I have a lot of students that I can't get around to? Why don't I just let you take a few students that are beginners, and you can stay one step in front of them?" And so I did, and that was actually how I started playing.
Wow, I did not know that. So what kind of music were you playing at that time? And then how did you find your way to allowing it to move into flamenco, into jazz? I'm sure playing standards and other folk and other kinds of genres for guitar. Like, how did that come about for you?
Well, I mean, from the very first instant that I was able to make anything happen on the guitar at all, I wanted to play flamenco music because I found it was so rich and so dark sounding, and so it was very, very cool stuff. I didn't know anything about the culture or anything like that at all, but I just loved the music. And so in my when I was working at this studio and teaching people, one of the other teachers there was this fellow whose name was Eric Patterson, and he was quite a good flamenco guitarist. He and his brother were both players. And he said, "Well, listen, why don't you come with me down to there's a flamenco dance studio, and you can see what we do and watch us accompanying." And so that was my introduction to the Encinas family. So I went to this rehearsal, and it was just stupefyingly cool.
Right.
It was great, and that was it.
You were hooked.
I was very hooked at that moment. Yeah.
So, you're an accomplished musician. And so I guess before we get into your time at the Academy, when did you start composing?
I actually, I started composing almost as soon as I started teaching classes because I found it much easier to sort of tailor what I wrote for kids rather than going out and trying to buy something. And so a lot of the music that I used in the classroom and everything was not purchased for them. I actually wrote it. And I didn't think of it as composing, I thought of it, as just, well, I know what they need to play. And so that's how I started with that. And, and still to this day, if I can't envision a group of people in front of me that need this and what their abilities are, it's hard for me to compose something.
So how did you land at the Academy?
The gentleman who was the guitar teacher that I had worked for, we kind of developed a good relationship. We did a lot of things together. I would play for him, and we would teach people, and it was really good. Well, he got a job here as an instrumental music teacher. Because of his, he was acquainted with a lady who was the art teacher, a lady named Mike O'Connor, who continues to be
She's going to be on our show too.
Oh, great! She was quite a wonderful influence and a lifelong friend. Anyway, so when he got that job, he was here for probably about 3 weeks, and he said he talked the headmaster, Ashby Harper, into hiring me as an assistant. So I came out as his assistant, and that's how I got my foot in the door here. And so I started. We had fifth graders then,
right?
And so it was my responsibility to help with the fifth grade curriculum. We had 3 sections of fifth graders, I remember, and so I was helping him with that. And as time went on, as the program grew a little bit, I started doing more and more stuff.
Okay, so. Most music programs are built around strings or band, choir. The Academy's is built around guitar. Where did you get that idea? And it is still absolutely thriving today. I think we have, almost a quarter of the school is playing guitar at any time, maybe a little bit higher. So where did you come up with that idea?
Well, we made guitar a part of what we did with those little kids back in the 70s. And it was very successful. We had a great time with it. And it was just a natural. And we did do wind instruments too. We taught the little kids recorder, and I play recorder. I love doing that, and so that was a good thing, and it sort of primed the pump to get things ready for having a band program, which we started right at the very end of my tenure in the 70s. In 76, 75, 76, we actually had a band going, and then there's a picture of me on the wall in the ad building there with that very first band.
Right,
but the idea of the guitar, we didn't really kind of set out to have a guitar curriculum. It moved in that direction kind of organically because so many people were excited about it. It was so successful right from the very beginning. And this is the thing. I really find the Academy community unique because I've taught in several schools.
Right.
I've never seen a community grab a hold of the guitar with the kind of hunger that the Academy kids have grabbed a hold of it with.
I think it's because guitar is really accessible as an instrument, and it's versatile in a different kind of way. So I love even just watching 6th graders who are so new to it here, and I've watched, they'll sit and pick out Happy Birthday and the melody. And you can get a sound out of that.
Right.
And then once you learn a few chords, you can actually accompany a little bit and play and amuse yourself.
Right.
And that just isn't the same in other instruments. You can have percussion, which is also really accessible straight away. But unless you're doing that with somebody else, it doesn't resonate the same way.
You need a bigger context.
Mm-hmm.
And with the guitar, you can be your own. You can be your own band, and so it has that self-contained nature to it. I mean, I really love that. I loved all the different musical angles that we had here at Academy. I mean, the band program too was just an awesome sort of a thing.
Yeah.
In 1976, I left, as I was 24, I felt like, well, I need to go see the wider world. I need to do a whole bunch of these things. And so I was gone for some time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so happy when I came back to find that everything was kind of moving along,
right?
But there was no guitar program. The guitar had kind of, there were a few kids playing, but there was no organized kind of a thing going on. And so that was, I came back in 92, and that was my goal, to get that going again.
Right. And so how did you do that?
Well, I started with one class, and that one class, I let them know that, there's a tradition here we have to kind of reattach ourselves to. And with that one class, we sort of primed the pump with, there were 7 kids in that class. And there were 3 of them that were pretty hot players and really motivated. And those went on. We had a Guitar 2 class the following year. And at that point, Hovey Corbin came on. And so we got him playing guitar and playing as well. So we had a multi-level guitar program and kids getting very excited about it. We had, at that point in time, we had, probably maybe 40 kids, in three levels. So it wasn't exactly just huge, but it was sizable enough to measure. And so we had a lot of fun. And, it was great. At that point in time, guitar education wasn't really even organized on a national kind of way. There were no kinds of specific methods that were applied. And so what we tried was a variety of different things. My experience as a flamenco guitar player was probably most valuable at that level, because flamenco has so much to do with the right hand and sound production and just being vigorous and using strength. That had a lot to do with making our kids sound different than any other kids in town or any other kids kind of anywhere sounded. And when they played, they made a big imprint on the people who heard them, because they played with a kind of confidence that was endemic in flamenco, but not so much in other styles. So we had a lot of luck with that. That was fun.
I don't know. I think luck is the residue of design. How is that?
Yeah, that's good.
In that way. So musically, what makes a guitar ensemble, particularly when we have like 40, 50, 60 kids playing at once as an orchestra, guitar orchestra, or that kind of ensemble, different than how you would teach strings or a symphonic band? So how do you parse out the parts and make that a bigger sound?
Well, the unique quality of the guitar ensemble, well, there's a couple of things to point to. One is the sound production is the same in all parts. You're using the same technique, you have the same instrument, the same timbres that you have to work with. That's both a good thing and a bad thing, because it's very limiting. You don't have that much that you can do, but you can really unify everybody. Everybody understands the same language. When you teach band, the challenge is you have 5 different sound production methods. You have lip buzzers, you have double reeds, you have single reeds, you have percussion instruments. And so it's like writing poetry in 5 languages at once when you teach band. But the guitar is unified in that way. The other thing is that the guitar does not sustain a note. It decays as soon as you hit it.
Right.
So the music that you choose has to necessarily kind of fit that sort of an idea.
Mm-hmm.
It has to, so guitar music generally is pretty propulsive. It has, I mean, when you play something slow on the guitar, you're going to have to play more notes to fill in that time. So it's just a different kind of a thing. Now, getting a large group together, is a trip. Because here's the other thing. In band, people have something stuck in their mouth, so they can't talk while they're playing. Guitar players can actually talk to one another while they're playing.
Right.
So getting them to be quiet and concentrate, is one of the things that you have to do if you have a big group of people. The other thing is that attacks have to happen very precisely in a big group. Otherwise, it's just a muddy sound. So that's the other big issue.
Well, one of the things I love about guitar, I feel like I can get double sound out of it. You can get, or sometimes even 3 sounds, the rhythm, a little bit of the melody, and I think it may be the way I play, but I know a lot of players do this way, a percussive sound on it, that the body of the guitar, how you approach your strumming, and you can get so many sounds out of it and have it resonate in ways that, you can't necessarily do on many instruments. Yeah. I mean, so you can, but that's what I love, that kind of approach you can take with playing and how you can fill in different ways with it. That's why I love the instrument.
Well, you're right. You have, I think Genevieve Leitner is a master at teaching the kids ways to make those wonderful percussive sounds, and like in Latin American music, she builds that into her approach so well. And the thing of it is that we are at a point in time where the guitar orchestra, the guitar ensemble, is less than 40 years old as an international phenomenon. And so all of these timbres, all of these textures are being discovered and invented as we speak.
Right.
There are a lot more composers writing things for that ensemble. There's many, many wonderful things that are happening right now because of that.
So tell us a little bit about how you got guitar into Allstate in New Mexico, and now it's all over the country.
Yeah. There's 20 states now that have guitar, and there are 7 or 8 more that are thinking of starting it next year, which has made me really happy. And Academy had a huge role to play in the inception of Allstate. We had the idea that if we could demonstrate that a guitar ensemble would be a viable thing to have, that we would be able to show the New Mexico music educators that this is really something to move in the direction of. So Mickey Jones and I, we worked really close on this. We got together with a number of other guitar instructors, Paul Nielsen, David Ostrovitz, Mark Schultz, several others who were part of the community at that time, and we all sat down and we said, okay, let's talk about how we're going to do this. And so what we decided was that we would have 2 or 3 pilot groups, honor groups, that we would organize from here at Academy. Right. And we would bring them in. We would hire a clinician, which Academy did. Academy hired the clinician and supplied the space for us to rehearse. And the first 3 of those were so successful, so dramatically successful, that the New Mexico music educator said, "We're going to do it. This is it." Right. We came up with a good data about what the kids, what level the kids would have to play at, how long they'd be able to sit with the guitar, all these little things about it, and how to communicate with the various programs around the state. And that Academy was completely centrally involved with that, because this was the hub for that whole operation.
So how have you seen music education change over the last 50 years?
Wow. Well, there have been several waves. There was, in the early 1980s, this awful period where people were letting go of arts programs just left and right, and saying that this was a frill. This was not something that we wanted to devote so much time and resources towards. And I'm glad to see that that's over with. That particular change was unwelcome, and it was an obstacle to doing a lot of things at that particular period of time. But one of the things that I've seen change, of course, is the inclusion of a lot of other styles of teaching. There have become many more student-centered programs rather than sort of the authority in the front of the room, doing it. There have been those
doing it mainly through classical.
Right.
So now, I mean, that's what was so novel about the way that you broached it, using flamenco.
Right.
You have all the technical side and reading and theory, but something that felt more modern or more accessible or more relevant, even though I am not saying classical music is not relevant. I'm just saying when you're 12.
Right.
Right. Go on.
The thing that attracted the kids towards, of course, it was, my enthusiasm about it, I think that might have attracted them a little bit. But what they loved about it was the fact that it was so energetic, that there was such a rhythmic, propulsive quality to it. And that particular side of it was really attractive to them. The other thing that's important to remember is that flamenco, even though it has a very sophisticated face in the popular world, it is essentially a folk music. And as such, it has no barriers to starting it. You can start with very small amounts of skill and technical knowledge and still get a nice result. And so I think that's what attracted the kids, and it certainly attracted me. But the in talking about the things that happened in music education, the fact that we could embrace the guitar, after so many years of having it on the periphery, was one of those moments in time that we were very happy to sort of take advantage of. Right. The guitar was becoming not just popular, but it was becoming accepted in learned places. And so, and we had a lot of support from the New Mexico music educators. There were a few people who were kind of holdouts and that didn't sort of feel like it was going to be an appropriate thing. There were also some people who felt like guitar players just aren't the kind of people that will be able to do this, and that was one of the reasons why we did these pilot groups, to show that guitar students were the same as all the other students in terms of their learning styles.
So we're going to switch gears a sec. You played one of the greatest, I don't even know if it was a prank, but I'm going to say greatest joke in independent school history. And I don't think a lot of people understand the humor that goes on independent school faculties. And maybe it goes on in other areas, but independent schools are known for this.
Oh, yeah. Well.
I mean, really, especially you were hired when you were really young. I was hired when I was really young. And so when you're growing up in that way, you tend to do things that are, we'll say, silly.
Oh, yeah.
I have my own, but I've told all of my friends what you did. And I think it's the greatest. Maybe you can take us through the raffling of your paycheck.
Oh, yeah. Well, actually, it didn't. The idea wasn't all mine, because my father had actually done something like that during the Depression.
That's even funnier, John. Now we're comparing your time at the academy and your pay at the academy to the Depression.
It was well. What happened was the fellow that brought me on as his assistant had gotten sideways with the headmaster, and in the middle of the year he was dismissed. And so as assistant, I was earning a very small salary,
Right.
you know, because I was only part-time and I could go do other things. And all of a sudden, I inherited the whole program.
Right.
And so
And not the whole salary.
Right. I went to I went to the headmaster and I said, well, you know, I really need a little help because, you know, I am not
Right.
going to be able to do it, you know. And so he looked at me and he says, well, let's just see how it works out.
Uh-huh.
That's what he said. And so I went out. Well, at the time, I had really long hair. It was in the hippie days. And so the folks didn't think I should eat in the lunchroom with the kids. They thought that was, you know, that.
Oh my gosh.
The lunchroom was a much different experience.
I'm sure.
Anyway, so they put me in a room that was just sort of behind the kitchen. It's still there.
The Elkins room.
No, it was one that was a small little thing.
Okay.
You know? And that was where the maintenance guys would have their lunch and a few other staffers.
This is getting even worse. Go.
And so you know, and so I was in there and I was kind of complaining to the other guys that were in there.
Right.
There was a guy named Amadeo. There was another fellow, you know, I remember. And I said, I don't know what I said. I know what I'll do. Would you guys buy chances on my paycheck?
Uh-huh.
My paycheck was just $300 some a month, you know.
Nice.
And so I said, would you buy chances on my paycheck? And that way, you know, you might. And they thought, sure. So they did, you know, but the word circulated amongst the staff. So I started getting, you know, quite
more than $300.
Oh, yeah, much more. and we had the first drawing. We had it in the room in there.
I love it.
And everybody. And the guy who won it was the head of the food services.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And so, okay, so the next one that we did, the following month, he won again.
Uh-oh.
And everybody thought, well, the fix is in.
Right.
You know. So I got squealed on, and I got this little note in my mailbox. And if you got one of these, you had one of those moments.
Uh-huh.
It said, please, see me ASAP AH.
Uh-huh.
And that was the kiss of death, you know. So I go in, you know.
So it's Ashby Harper asking to see you.
Yeah.
So you go up into that paneled room.
Oh,
up on East Admin. Go ahead.
I go in there, you know, and he's kind of sitting there, and he says, "Close the door."
Uh-oh.
And so I closed the door, and he just laid into me, you know, about how he should have me arrested.
Oh no.
You know, and how, you know, this and then, you know, he stopped for a moment and he says, "But that's the funniest damn thing I've ever heard." And so he gave me a raise. Oh. So he chewed me out, but gave me a raise
I love
anyway.
it.
Yeah.
I think that I love that story so much, and without going into my past when I was like 22, 23, 24, when I talked to my friends from that time, we're like, we should have done that. You know, we didn't. John, I've so enjoyed our conversation, as I do every time that we get to speak.
Thank you.
I love that you still sub and you're still around the Academy, and not only as a grandfather, but as a member of the faculty. And we're just so grateful to have you.
Well, this has been, you know, I always tell people that this is really home for me. I mean, I have so many good connections here, and I have so many good associations with just every brick in the wall. You know, I love it here, and I'm so grateful to be a part of this community.
Well, we're lucky. And so thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's time for the teacher feature, when you get to meet one of our fantastic faculty members at the Academy. In today's teacher feature, we're thrilled to welcome one of our own, Carrie Hurtado, class of 2007. Carrie is a violin, viola, and cello teacher based right here in Albuquerque, and her approach to music education is as thoughtful as it is dynamic. She earned her Bachelor of Arts in Music from the University of New Mexico, where she specialized in string pedagogy. Carrie blends multiple teaching philosophies to meet each student exactly where they are, nurturing not just skill, but confidence and creativity. Beyond the classroom, Carrie is an active performer across New Mexico and Colorado. She plays with the San Juan Symphony, Roswell Symphony, Musicos Chamber Orchestra, and performs with her wedding quartet here in Albuquerque, bringing music to concert halls and celebrations alike. From academy student to professional musician and educator, Carrie Hurtado embodies the lifelong love of learning and artistry we strive to cultivate. We're so excited to have her with us today. Welcome, Carrie, to our show.
Thank you.
Now, I've had the great privilege of playing in a Carrie Hurtado directed orchestra of 6th and 7th graders. And really got to witness firsthand on how you teach music, which is amazing.
Oh, thank you.
You're so soft-spoken.
Sorry.
Well, 6th and 7th graders are not always known for making a great sound.
That is true.
They're known for making a big sound.
Yes.
But you somehow get them, they're emerging players, to be able to listen to one another and play things they think they may not be able to do. So how do you even just approach that with teaching kids who are young and learning some complicated pieces?
I think it starts with games in a lot of ways. With 6th graders, you play games like, is this note higher or lower than the last note? That kind of thing. Just listening games. So that they're training that muscle, and then they can just use that. They don't even think about it, and they just think it's a fun game, right? And then kind of pointing out what other people are doing across the orchestra is another thing that I try to do, so that they can hear that it's not just them. I think that's the basis of it. Kind of unifying their sound as much as possible and getting them playing with the group, because it's not always easy. A lot of times they want to just play whatever they're doing and just go on their own,
But so how many kids are in the 6-7 orchestra?
42. And
you never raise your voice?
Oh, I do on occasion.
No, you don't.
Okay.
You actually don't. I've been watching you. I mean, so you command a kind of attention and respect in a way that, while they have noisemakers.
Yeah.
Which
Very
I just
loud
find
ones.
just remarkable, and the gentleness, yet holding them accountable. And I think that's why they spend most of their class playing, not being spoken to.
That is the goal. Yeah.
So the other thing that I find really remarkable is that in the same day, you will teach 6th graders and 12th graders who are at very different levels.
Oh, yeah.
And most of our faculty don't do that.
Yeah.
So how do you adjust from working with our youngest to some of our oldest kids?
I don't know. I love the 6th graders. We play games. We do kind of small things. But with that's hard to describe. We can kind of zoom in a lot with the older kids. We can do things like work on 2 measures and get them perfect for 30 minutes, Whereas with the younger kids, we have to play games, and we do several pieces within a few minutes.
Right.
We have to move very quickly with them.
So was there a particular teacher or moment that you recall that helped spark your path towards music?
Lots of teachers. My first violin teacher was actually the one who convinced me to get into teaching. Gloria Velasco was another one. She was my first orchestra teacher. She was my mentor teacher as a private teacher, and then again in APS as a classroom teacher. And obviously Mr. Armerding, who was the orchestra teacher here, he was a huge influence on me. My teaching is kind of an outcropping of him, almost directly, even though he said, "Oh, you're taking a very different approach than I do." But I don't see it that way. I just see it as kind of a new direction with the same route, you know?
Got it. So do you recall your music journey at Academy as a student? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Oh, yeah. I started in the orchestra in 6th grade. I tried out for the fiddler in the Fiddler on the Roof in 7th grade. I didn't get it because I couldn't dance. But, and then in 8th grade, we did Mozart's Magic Flute. We did an opera when I was in 8th grade. And I was kind of a very last minute choice. And I remember that was the most music I was ever handed until, much later in my life. And I spent that whole winter break in 8th grade just learning the Magic Flute. I can still play a good portion of the second violin part of the Magic Flute. It's been 20-something years now.
Right.
And from then on, I did, I think, all of the pit orchestras, either on violin or bass.
And so now you're the musical director of the musical this year.
Yeah.
And how does it feel to move from like playing in the pit orchestra to directing it? And you're still playing, I know, because that's how it rolls.
It's weird. It really is weird. It's a lot more responsibility, but it's something that I've really loved for so long, and it's the responsibility is mostly internal. You know, I want to keep this going, and I want it to be really good and beautiful because of the pressure that I'm putting on myself, I guess.
Yeah.
Because Hovey and Jonathan and John Truitt have, John Truitt actually directed the music last time we did You're in Town.
Really?
He did.
That's very cool.
He has great ideas all over. But that legacy is just beautiful. I feel a lot of, I don't know what the responsibility. Yeah, I feel a lot of responsibility because of it. Yeah.
And so was there ever a time you didn't think you would pursue music as a career?
Oh, 100%.
And what were you thinking about?
I was an anthropology major for the first several years of college. And I stopped playing. I stopped playing violin entirely, and I only played bass in rock bands for that time. And at some point, I just decided, I want to get back into violin. So I went back to my old violin teacher.
Right. And how old were you about at this time?
I think I was 20 at the time. And that's when I realized, this is a huge part of my life that I just left behind for no reason. And she was the one who said, Carrie, you could hang your shingle and be a private violin teacher if you wanted. And that's what set me on the path to changing my major to music.
Huh. Yeah. So when did you start playing other instruments? We grew up playing violin. Playing bass, even though it seems like, they're 4 strings and all that, is a very different enterprise.
Very different. Yes.
And then cello, viola. Like, how did you get into all of this? And guitar.
7th grade was when I started learning cello. I got to be honest with you. I was just kind of bored playing violin. So I took up cello. It was a lot of fun. I think it was 9th grade I decided to learn bass. And I played bass in the orchestra here all through high school.
You like to carry heavy instruments.
Apparently, yes. And then I took up guitar and viola both in college. Yeah.
And what is your favorite to play?
Oh, that's like asking for your favorite child. You can't do that.
You can.
Okay, bass.
Yeah. There you go. And So you teach mainly classical. Oh, there's also pop, but in terms of from like movie scores and things.
Yeah.
But how you have a range of musical interests. So what are some of the more famous or rock bands or popular music that you love to listen to and play?
Modest Mouse is one that I love that band. They're amazing.
Of course. Did you see them when they came through?
No, I missed them at the Santa Fe Opera. I
have no idea who Modest Mouse is. I was just having fun with you.
Got it. They came to the Santa Fe Opera House.
Yeah.
Modest Mouse, this little tiny indie band. I mean,
I love it.
They're kind of an indie band.
Yeah.
They played the Santa Fe Opera House. I really wanted to go. I think I had a Levanta class or something that night.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, they Modest Mouse is a good one. Pink Floyd is a huge one in my life. I love Pink Floyd. Oh, I don't know. My favorite band though, it's kind of a small band. It's called Gogo Bordello.
Okay.
And they're gypsy punk.
And so what of their CDs or releases would you recommend to the listener?
The song Start Wearing Purple is their best song.
Okay.
It's a big song. It's their only kind of hit.
Okay.
Big air quotes there.
I love it.
And it's really fun. I think that's your best introduction to Gogo Bordello. I would not listen to their newest album. I'm not, hot take, but it's not good. So.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. You heard it from here, folks.
Yeah, I know.
So how do you, let's just start, like if a child is starting playing violin, it's their first lesson. What does that time look like for you? How do you approach that?
Well, it really depends. I've taught people as young as, I think my youngest student was 2.5 when he started. And my oldest student, well, I'm not going to venture a guess, but she was retired. So, it really depends on where they're at. Adult students, you tend to spend the whole time just relaxing them. Like, you're not going to break this instrument.
Right.
It'll be okay. And the small ones, you spend the whole time telling them how important it is that they treat the instrument kindly. So with 6th graders, that's most of their first day. Just, this is the instrument. It's very, very nice. You cannot scratch it. You can't drop it. You can't leave it in a hot car, that kind of thing. But, and then bow holds are the first thing that I teach everybody, really, because they're really hard to kind of wrap your brain around. It's a really strange way to hold a thing. And it's the most important part of playing. So that's where we start usually.
So how do you help motivate kids or players when practice gets hard?
Wow. I think bringing it smaller and smaller, like you can do this one measure perfectly.
Right.
And then you can do this next measure perfectly. And then we can put those together, I think is the best way to keep them motivated because they just want to succeed at something. Right. They want to be good. And showing them that they can, even when it's hard, even when everything is just a little crazy, they can bring it in and succeed.
It's music that really taught me about perfect practice. And I have this vivid memory. I may have been like 15 and I was drumming, but I kept doing the same mistake again and again and again and again and again and not like trying to undo it. Right. My dad came down. He was like, listen, you need to practice differently. And he's like, I've been listening to you for weeks do the same thing. And I was like looking at him like, what are you now? Of course had an attitude,
as a 15-year-old,
would. but he's like, you need to practice in a way that's going to elevate or extend, or it's not simply putting in the time. It's putting in the time the right way.
Absolutely.
And that was like a real like light bulb moment for me, because then that's how life is.
Yeah. When you do something over and over again, you got to do it the right way. Yeah. Practice makes permanent is one thing that I've heard, because it doesn't necessarily make it perfect.
So
you just practice it in,
You do a lot of playing on your own and you're teaching. That's often a tension for artists, visual, performing, actors, all of that. How do you balance the two?
Well, I don't see it that way necessarily. I do make sure that school comes first for me.
Oh, great.
So, I mean, I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
I've tried once to do. There's a thing that with the New Mexico Phil called a coffee concert. It's in the middle of the day on Friday, and I thought I could kind of fit it in with my free period and everything, and it just didn't work. And it was so hard, and I just realized, no, I'm not even gonna try and fit things in like that. But I think school comes first, but I think performing is really important, because on top of being kind of artistically fulfilling, it informs how I teach, because I know how professional musicianship works, and I can teach toward that,
How does it feel when you're on stage conducting versus playing? Like the actual feeling, in terms of like nerves or anxious or excitement, like, well, how does it differ?
I'd say I feel a lot more responsibility and a lot more nerves as a conductor.
Right.
But it depends. If I'm, playing solo,
right,
then that's much more nerve-wracking for me. But if I'm playing with an orchestra, you kind of lose yourself into the flow of everything,
Do your hands ever shake?
No.
From being nervous? No?
It's been a very long time since that happened.
Yeah, I can't say the same. And I actually think it's really mental for me. And so, like, before I go on stage, regardless, I just kind of play aggressively behind and get the shake out of my hands, and then I'm absolutely fine.
I get that, yeah.
But I'm like, what is wrong? I speak in front of people all the time. I do this all the time, but yet my hands shake in that way.
For me, it's the opposite way, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I will happily play music for thousands of people.
Right.
If you give me a microphone and you make me talk to even like 100 people,
right,
I'll be nervous and shaky.
And I'll tell you, I can feel that way. I'm fine as long as I don't have to hold anything. It's my hands. I could speak with confidence and act confident, but
your hands give you away.
My hands give me away when the paper starts shaking. Yeah. So what's something your students have taught you?
Oh, other than slang, I hope.
Yeah. Oh, good one. Well done.
I don't know. I think they've really taught me how to relate well to everyone. I think that's a good question. I think if you treat everyone around you with respect, with kind of the expectation that everyone's going to be, friendly and kind to you, I feel like they're going to rise to that. And these students here have really done that for me, I think. Yeah.
And so how has Academy, prepared you as a musician, as a teacher, for the work you do now? If you can think back to your time at school here.
Wow. I mean, everything. My writing classes have helped me with all my comments and, obviously the orchestra classes and playing in the pit have been extremely influential. I know I spent most of my senior year just sitting in the orchestra room.
Yeah.
Yeah, whenever I'd have a free period, I'd just be there. It's true. I didn't really need a lot of math credits to get through a music degree, thankfully. But honestly, I feel like I can do a lot of the math that I need for teaching music, which is not a lot.
Right.
Statistics and stuff like that. I can do that very well because of the school. I don't know. It's prepared me beautifully for the real world,
So a little part of our show we call the lightning round.
Ooh.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Red or green?
Green.
Favorite composer?
Beethoven.
Why?
He's just so human. He feels so deeply, and you just hear it in his music.
Now, what of the instruments do you enjoy playing the most? Violin, viola, bass, or cello?
Bass.
And do you like electric or upright?
Upright. I like both. Yeah, both.
Orchestra or chamber music?
Ooh. Orchestra.
You like the big sound?
Yeah.
And next year I was a maniac and asked for orchestra and some band to be in the same block so we can play symphonic big music.
I'm so excited.
Like 75 kids playing.
It's going to be huge and amazing.
I can't wait.
It's going to be perfect.
Do you like to practice in the morning or late night?
Late night.
Huh. Well, yeah, most people don't like. I'm a weird person that likes the morning on that one. What's your favorite spot on campus?
Oh, that courtyard between the art building and the dining hall.
Huh?
Yeah.
I love that.
It's a beautiful place. And you just sit there and you feel a little serene. It's wonderful.
Huh. And we've kind of cleaned it up a little bit too, right? Nice.
Beautiful.
All right. I want to thank John Truitt for helping me explore the history of our guitar program, as well as our special guest, Carrie Hurtado. I'm very fortunate to be part of a team that cares so deeply about education. If you've enjoyed today's conversation, please subscribe and share. And as always, we'll see you next time. Go Chargers! Thanks for listening to What I Learned in School to learn a little bit about Albuquerque Academy. Send us your comments and questions to headofschool@aa.edu.